The Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards have been a massive failure. And listen, I love physical media. From the NES to the N64, all the way up to the PS5, and even some boxed versions of old PC games. I really like collecting physical media, so keep that in mind as we check out this video. Nintendo Switch 2 keycard games are a failure.
It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. I called it. I called it.
What's happening?
I called it. I know I understand. Okay, I get it. I get it. People are sick of hearing me talk about the Nintendo Switch. I get it. You're sick of it.
Shut up about this
Switch 2.
Shut up about this.
Switch 2.
But something I've always talked about is
I never heard him talk about the Switch 2 yet. Let's let this man cook.
my deep love and belief that physical games are important.
Facts. Preservation and the ability to play offline in 40 years. That's why physical media is important. Open and shut case.
That game ownership is important. So when I see the reports where third-party publisher, well, one third-party publisher in particular that I guess is unnamed, I don't know why, they're so ashamed.
They're embarrassed. Their sales were so bad, they were embarrassed to admit it.
They're so ashamed that their sales fell drastically lower than their predictions. It was
Yup.
lower than their lowest estimate.
Sick.
And that's great. That's great. And why is that great? It's not because I hate the Switch 2. Let me get that out there. As a console, I have absolutely no problem with the Switch 2.
He's spitting. Absolutely true. That same. I love the Switch 2. I've been playing it a ton, especially on my Twitch streams. Link down below. Don't miss the next stream. But so far, the Switch 2 has been a fantastic console.
Okay? An upgraded Switch is what I wanted.
Same.
I wanted a more powerful system. I wanted the next generation of the Switch.
That's what everybody wanted. There's been a lot of talk online of people saying, oh, it's not innovative. Oh, they didn't do something new. Oh, it's just the Switch, but bigger. Meanwhile, if they did some crazy VR headset wild stuff, or they slapped a second screen on it, everyone would have been like, oh, Nintendo's doing too much. Nobody wants that. They need to focus on third-party support in the games. It's impossible to make gamers happy, okay?
Now, is the console itself perfect? Is it exactly what I wanted? No, but I do like it for what it is.
Sure.
The things I don't like about the Switch are all the other baggage that comes along with it. $80 games, more.
I don't know if he cut it there on purpose. It sounded like he was gonna say $80 games, but he cut it like right before the S, because right now there aren't $80 games. There is $80 game, period, which is Mario Kart World. We don't have any other $80 games. So like, yeah, the baggage here is manufactured. It's like, if you want to talk about $80 games, you're not talking about $80 games. You're actually talking about Mario Kart World being $80. Now, will there be more $80 games in the future? Who knows? Maybe there will be. I bet there probably will be, knowing Nintendo, but if it doesn't sell super well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, we ain't getting any more $80 games, because you gotta vote with your wallet, okay? Listen, if you take one thing away from this video, vote with your wallet. Don't listen to the internet, don't listen to your friends, don't listen to whoever, it doesn't matter. Vote with your wallet and what you think, what you feel.
Or focus on digital and these stupid key card things. Almost all of the third-party games that came out for the Switch, besides Cyberpunk, pretty much, like there's like 2 other games, the rest were key cards or code in a box. Now, there's a lot of blame to be throwing around here.
Just for those of you who aren't in the loop, okay, a key card effectively is a physical piece of media that you put into your Nintendo Switch 2 that has nothing on it. It's not a game, okay? All it has on it is effectively a digital license that allows the console to download the game from the internet, and you need that key to play what is otherwise a purely digital game.
As to why so many publishers decided to go with the key card instead of just a cartridge, but you know what? I want to blame Nintendo for even giving them the option. Like, it's
once again, let me fill you in really quick. The reason these game cards exist is because in order to have your game as a third-party publisher on a Nintendo Switch 2 official cartridge, apparently you have to get the cartridge from Nintendo, and they're only making 64 gigabyte cartridges, which are expensive for the Switch 2. And so third-party publishers who have much smaller games, let's say your game is only 8 gigabytes or 6, 5, 2 gigabytes, whatever, you're required from Nintendo to buy a 64 gigabyte card there, and they just don't want to pay that. They don't want to pay it. Like, and why would they, right? They're buying way more than they need. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. So Nintendo is giving them another option. They said, okay, if you don't want to pay for the 64 gigabyte cards, you could just do a key card, which effectively just you put it in the console, you download the game, and it's kind of like physical media. You could still give the key card to your friend and they could still download the game and play it, or you could sell it to GameStop or sell it online and it will still work for whoever buys it secondhand, but the game's not actually on the card itself. And so it's kind of like this middle ground where the third-party developers save money because they don't spend as much on manufacturing the cards, but the downside is there's no actual game on the card. And it's Nintendo's fault, right? I mean, they decide what gets manufactured and what they sell to these third-party publishers. So that's what he's saying here.
It's not completely Nintendo's fault, but the fact that they came up with this stupid key card cartridge thing, it was too tempting for these companies to not do it. And I think that's a big reason why we're seeing third-party sales so bad.
I strongly disagree, actually. Okay, first of all, he's right. It's tempting because companies typically operate with the understanding that they are always working towards their bottom line, right? They're required to maximize shareholder value, right? I mean, it's like a meme, but it's also like the world it's true. That's what they are beholden to the shareholder, okay? And so they're always going to cut corners where it makes sense. And in this case, it's a no-brainer. If you have a 6 gigabyte game, you're not going to pay for a 64 gigabyte card. It's stupid. You might as well save the money and do it the other way, right? But the reason that third-party games did not sell for the Switch 2 has basically nothing to do with the game key cards, and I want to make that abundantly clear. Again, I love physical media, right? But hatred for the key cards is like maybe 2% of the reason why they're not selling. The real reason is that all of the third-party games on the Switch 2 have been out for a while. They're all old games. Nothing there is new. It's like Hogwarts Legacy. What year is it? Hello? You have Hitman, you have Street Fighter, you have all these third-party games that, like, why would I buy it on the Switch 2 physically when you could get it for cheaper on your PC as a digital download? Like, it makes no sense. Like, these are all old games that everyone has already played if you wanted to play it. So the only people buying these games for the Switch 2 are people who want to play it again, or people who just want the option to play it on the go. Like, I haven't played Hogwarts Legacy in over a year and I'm gonna go on a flight soon. I want to play it again, like that. And that is such a small percentage of people who bought the Switch 2 that it's like that is like 98% of the reason why the third-party sales are horrible here. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. Your average consumer does not care about the key cards or what. They didn't even read the box. They don't even know the difference. It doesn't even matter to them.
Apparently, even though the Switch 2 has had one of the biggest launches of all time, if not the biggest launch of all time, It doesn't matter. The third-party sales are abysmal. And
well, hang on. It does matter, okay? I mean, being the fastest selling console of all time matters a lot, actually. But because the poor third-party attachment rate is so easily explained, it actually, I think it's kind of irrelevant.
I think it's because people want to own their games. I think it's...
Nope, they don't. I mean, it's abundantly clear people do not give a shit because the industry has been so heavily swinging towards digital and most people are still buying, right? There's such a small percentage of people like me and probably like him left. That's the truth, okay? Anyone under 25, they don't care. They don't care. They'd rather the convenience. They just want to play the game. And again, this is not my opinion, right? You could just look at the fact that digital sales are insane and just open and check case, bada bing, bada boom, you're done. You don't have to leave the house. You don't have to get up to change the cartridge and no one cares. Sorry. I hate it. I hate that that's the case, but no one cares about owning physical media. Seriously, it's probably 10, maybe 20% of people, but that's like being giga generous. Like it's probably more like 15 or 5% of gamers really care about physical media enough to like go out of their way to get it, right? Like there's going to be this middle ground of people who are like, oh yeah, like I wish I had it physical, or yeah, I wish the game was on the card, but like not enough to pay more for it, or not enough to like go out to GameStop or Walmart. Like they care a little bit, but not enough to vote with their wallet, which is what I talked about before.
Because people don't care about these stupid key card things and they don't see them as a good value.
No, that doesn't matter.
See, oh, they're charging me full price, but they're not giving me the entire value for my money here. I'm not.
Let me be clear. I agree with him. That's bullshit, right? That's actually bullshit. But what I'm saying is the average consumer is not having that thought. They're not. They're just seeing, oh, Street Fighter's on the shelf for the Switch 2. I liked Street Fighter back in the day. Let me pick that up. That's it. They pop it in, the game downloads, because let's be real, every game has a download on day one, regardless of if it's physical or not. And then they just play the game. And then maybe like a few months later, they're looking at the case and they're like, huh, it actually says down here that this is actually, the game's not even on here. Huh, pretty interesting. Oh, I can still sell it to GameStop? Okay, well, who cares? I'll just sell it, whatever.
Really getting the game. I'm just getting the idea of the game. I'm getting something that lets me download it onto my system that I then also have to keep in the Switch, unlike a downloaded game, which I can just have a bunch on there. So people that want digital are not happy because they have to switch games. And I feel like the entire defense of people that like digital only games and try to, for some reason, lobby for it, or like, oh, it's so convenient, you don't have to get up, you don't have to do anything. So that goes out the window with key cards. So that doesn't work for the digital crowd. And it doesn't work for the physical crowd either, because people like me want the game on the damn thing. Otherwise, it's just a digital game.
Facts. And I agree. The card keys are the worst of both worlds. You are not appealing to basically anybody, right? There's a reason why they exist. We'll talk about it later. It's like actually so funny how blatantly obvious it is. There's a reason that the key cards serve a purpose. We'll talk about that, but I agree with him here. It's the worst of both worlds. It's the environmental impact of the physical media, the plastic, it sits on a truck and it goes across it's horrible, right? It's got all the downsides of physical media. You got to take it out of the console and all that stuff, and you lose the convenience of digital, right? So like, who's it even for?
And it's so stupid that they came up with this idea to begin with. I mean, it's code in a box is the dumbest. Like, it's by far the dumbest. Who is that for?
It's for the developers and the publishers of the game. I'm not kidding. The literal purpose of the code in the box, the entire reason for code in the box is visibility to the consumer. Okay, think of it like this. Your son just turned 6, okay? And he knows that when he goes over to Jimmy's house, they play Fortnite together and it's a lot of fun. You decide, okay, I'm gonna get them a game console. I don't know what games are for that. I'm 37. I don't know anything about video games anymore. I haven't played them since college. You go to Target, you go to buy him a game, you look at the shelf and you're like, huh, what games exist? Oh, this says Fortnite DLC pack. Okay, so that must mean that Fortnite's on there, but it's a free game because I just asked the employee and they said so. Okay, well, I'll get that. And yeah, it's a code in the box, but it's for consumer awareness. Game companies have even come out and explicitly said this. I think it was Sony. They literally just came out and said, yeah, we still have stuff on the shelf for discoverability. It's literally marketing. It is like literally the foot traffic through Target is marketing. You're walking by the shelf and you see, oh, look, hey, the new Hitman game came out on the Switch too. Pretty cool. Now, I'm gonna be real. I didn't look it up. I don't know if Hitman's on the cartridge. I don't know if it's a key card. I don't know if it's a code on a piece of paper, okay? The point is, it's on the shelf. It doesn't matter what's in the box. The customer saw it and they're like, oh, I remember playing Hitman back on the PS2. That's pretty cool, right? It's awareness of the game. So the code in the box is literally not for the consumer. The consumer. They don't care about the consumer at all. It is literally, they go out of their way because thousands of people are going to walk past the Switch games when they're walking through Walmart and they're going to see the game is there and Hitman exists for the Switch too. Okay. That is literally just cost effective marketing, and it doesn't matter what's in the box. They barely care if you buy it right then and there. As long as you know it exists, maybe in 2 months when you get the Switch 2 for your birthday, then you'll download it from the Nintendo eShop and they still got the sale.
Like, key cards are for basically nobody, but maybe somebody will find value because maybe you can resell them. Not quite sure of the resale market there. Maybe GameStop treats it just like a regular game, but the code in a box is just wasting plastic packaging at this point. Are you gonna put the box on your wall and go, that's part of my collection? And then someone goes, oh, okay, well, can I borrow it? Oh, no, you can't borrow it because I have it digitally.
Like I said, it's not for the consumer. They don't care about the consumer. It's purely marketing. But also, the one thing that the consumer gets is the artwork on the box. And I know, like, that's such a cringe reason to buy it, right? But like, technically, if you did put it on your shelf, you could like face it outwards and be like, oh yeah, I have the Fortnite DLC pack, even though it's a code in the box, at least it's like on my shelf and I can look at it and be like, oh yeah, Fortnite's a cool game. Like, that's the only sliver of value that's there for physical media collectors. Otherwise, it's just not for the consumer, obviously.
Oh, okay. Then why do you have the box? Stupid. Now, I don't think that's the only reason. I would love for that to be the only reason, but it's not. Let's look at it realistically. Why is this happening? Why is the biggest launch having such a poor third-party attachment rate. That's what
Because all the games are old and everyone's already played them and they got them for cheaper somewhere else. That's it. That's 98% of the reason.
it's called when you sell a game with the system. It's attachment rate. Anyway, why is this happening? Why are we seeing this few third parties sold? And that's because of quite a few reasons, and a lot of them I said back in my previous video where I talked about how the Switch 2 launch was pretty terrible, and it's just because these games have been out. A lot of these games have already been out for a long time.
Oh yeah.
They're not new.
Right.
They're very old, some of them. And anyone that wanted those games to begin with most likely has bought them already.
Yeah.
So having them as a Switch 2 launch game is great for people that only had a Switch, but I have a feeling that most people...
I don't even agree with that. I think the third-party support for the Switch 2 is great for people who didn't even have a Switch. It's great for people who didn't have anything before. Like you never played Hogwarts Legacy. You never played Street Fighter, right? Like that's who the third party's for. It's like, okay, if this is brand new to you, if the Switch is brand new to you as a Nintendo console, there's a lot of great games to play. But for anyone who's been gaming for the past, I don't know, at least a year or more, you've probably played a handful of those games, or you've already decided you're not going to play those games, right? If you didn't play Hogwarts Legacy in the first 2 months that it was out, you probably didn't. It's done. It's over with. It's gone. You're not probably coming back to it. You're probably playing Mario Kart World now because that's the new thing that all your friends are playing, right? Now that's not true for everyone, right? Obviously people have back catalogs and they play games later down the line, especially when they're on sale. But what he's referring to here is that these third-party games came out on day one at full price, which is wild. People are not going to pay full price for Hogwarts Legacy these days. Come on, man.
Had the Switch as their secondary system, and then the people that didn't have the Switch as their secondary system don't care too much about, graphically intense or third-party games like this because they just bought it for Nintendo games and that's all they want to play. They just want to play it for those Nintendo games and that's it. So
no one has ever bought Nintendo consoles for the third-party support. That's never happened literally ever. Maybe the Super Nintendo and maybe the N64, but even then I feel like the PS2 was great during that era. Like it's just never, Nintendo has never been mega friendly for third-party support. I think the Switch 2 is probably going to be the first time that starts to be the case because the third-party lineup is so strong already. But yeah, the truth is also, and like I should have mentioned this before, but like people buy Nintendo consoles for Nintendo games primarily. You want to play Zelda, you want to play Pokemon, you want to play Mario, you want to play Animal Crossing or Kirby or Metroid or any of these other great titles, Mario Party, Mario Kart, Mario Tennis, whatever, right? That's why you're buying a Nintendo console. If you wanted to play Grand Theft Auto, you bought a PS5 or you played it on your PC. That's it.
So you launch the Switch 2 and you relaunch all of these old games for full price, I might add. So you've got Yakuza 0. Yeah. Which I think I got for free at one point, or I got it for like $8 or like $4. It was so cheap. I got it for so cheap. Such a great game, but I got it for so cheap. Yep. I don't want to spend $50-$60 on it again. Like that's not happening. No. Hitman has also been on sale a bunch of times. So again, painful price is crazy. Pretty much any third-party game that they launched on the Switch 2, they've been out for such a long time, and they've hit that $20 price range. So trying to charge ultra Switch tax and just jack it back up to full price again, that ain't flying for most people.
Yeah, I think the reason that these third-party games are on the Switch 2 is strictly because for the developers and the publishers, it requires very little work for them to port it over, right? It's not that much work, and even if they only sell a couple of thousand copies to just ultra casuals who had no idea about these games before, like I said, their first ever console ever, they can make their money back and make a small profit, right? Like that's literally all it is. It's the risk reward ratio, right? It's a super low investment cost, and then like if it sells, great. If it doesn't, whatever, they just take a tiny L and it is what it is,
because they know they've seen it at a lower price. And once you've seen something at a lower price, your brain, at least for most people, okay, maybe just for me, once I've seen it at that lower price, that is now the price in my head. That is the only price I'm willing to pay, or at least a price that is close to it. Not going to get anywhere near that full price ever again because I've seen it for this lower price.
So that's actually a term called anchoring. The price of the game is now anchored in your mind at whatever the sale price is. So I'll give you guys an example. A couple of times a year, I go to Bath and Body Works and they have a 50% off 3-wick candle sale, right? Or I think it's like $12.50 for a 3-wick candle or whatever the case might be. And so when I go, I buy them at that price and I find that that's a good deal. I like them being at that price, right? But if you go into the store whenever that sale is not happening, then they're like, I don't know, $20, $25. It's like insane for a candle, right? It's way too much money. So I'm never going to buy them at full price. I will never spend the full price on the candle because I know like twice a year or whatever, you get them for a much cheaper price. It's like 50% off and it's reliable. They've done it for the past like 7 years, right? So the price is now anchored in my mind. Those candles are worth, well, 50, maybe 15 bucks, depending on the sale. They're not worth 20. They're not worth 25, whatever, right? So as a consumer, now that the price has been anchored, the store has anchored that price in my mind. That's what they're worth to me. So I'm not going to spend more than that on them.
So with all those things combined, it's no wonder why the switch to third-party attachment rate is so low and why the first party is so high. I mean, we're seeing numbers like 89% or something like that. Now,
I assume he's talking about Mario Kart World there. And yeah, I mean, like I said before, people buy Nintendo consoles for Nintendo games. And right now, there's literally no other choice. You buy a Switch 2, you basically have to get Mario Kart World. Otherwise, you're playing old stuff. You're playing the enhanced version of an old game. That's it, right?
Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild had like 100 and something percentage attachment rate, which is just insane. But that's because people were buying the game before they could even get the system, because the system was selling out everywhere. It was very difficult to find. And
I remember that actually. I do remember that the first like couple, like maybe it was first week or something like that, the attach rate for Breath of the Wild was like 103% or something ridiculous, because people just like, they knew they were going to get the game and they knew they were eventually going to get the console. So like, because of the hype, they just bought the game because it was there. And then they were like maybe waiting for their Switch to come, or they're just going to wait for a birthday or whatever the case might be. I remember that. That was actually really funny.
The game was starting to sell out, and they were also just trying to make sure that they had the games when they finally got the Switch. They had both the things that we were really excited about. Whereas the Switch 2, I mean, most people, if you want Mario Kart World, you're going to get the Mario Kart World bundle. Otherwise, what are you doing? I guess you just want the physical edition and you want to spend $30 extra. I don't know. I just can't bring myself to fathom spending $80 on Mario Kart World, or any game for that matter. I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole again, because I've said a lot about that when it comes to the Switch 2. But
I talked about this on a live stream, and I do agree. I don't think Mario Kart World should be $80. You can make the argument that the dollar per hour value that you're getting out of Mario Kart World is much higher than a single player game like Donkey Kong Bonanza, for example. You're going to play through that game once and you're probably not going to come back to it once you're done with it, right? So you maybe put 20 to 40 hours into the game, depending on if you're collecting everything, and then you're done. Like, you take the $60 or $70 price tag, you divide it by the number of hours that you spent on it, and you get your entertainment value per hour, right? And if you look at something like Mario Kart World, you're going to be playing Mario Kart World 1, 2, 3, 4 years from now, because when your buddies come over, you're going to play it, or when, you know, your kids have their friends over, you're all going to grab an extra controller. Like, you're going to be playing this game for years and years and years, and you're going to put, you know, 100, 200, 300 hours into Mario Kart World. And so paying another $10 for the game, really, in the grand scheme of things, actually isn't bad. You're still getting a tremendous amount of value out of it. That being said, though, other games, you will get hundreds of hours out of other games that aren't $80, right? You've gotten a decade out of Mario Kart 8, right? And that game was $60 when it launched for the Wii U. So, you know, the argument kind of falls apart when you start to look at the rest of the industry, and you're like, oh, well, actually, there's other games here that have hundreds of hours of value in them, and they're not $80. So what makes Mario Kart World so special? So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. But I agree, Mario Kart World should not be $80, even though I can see the argument.
Even if you're a Nintendo fan, I mean, I am a Nintendo fan, don't get me wrong. I don't want Nintendo to fail. Do I want them to be humbled? Yes. But I don't want them to fail. But I do want some of these ideas to fail, because as soon as these ideas are popular, as soon as they see that they are profitable and they can get away with doing it, they will start doing it across the industry. Don't think...
Well, physical media has been dying for like 15 years, so we kind of missed the boat on that one. Like, even if game key cards take off, it's not going to change the landscape, right? It's not like we're going to have less and less physical media because of game key cards. Like, no. We've been on that path for over a decade. Like, that's all, we're already downhill, and physical media is kind of doomed already. Like, I'm a little bit black-pilled on it, to be honest with you guys. But yeah, like, game key cards are just like a little offshoot side quest on the death of physical media. It's just like this cute little thing Nintendo did instead of putting key cards in a box, right? Like, that's, they could have just gone that route, right? But they decided to do this other thing instead, so that way you could like resell the game's key cards, I guess. I don't know.
Think otherwise, okay? Because we've seen this already. Anytime any business in any sort of category has gotten away with making a profit on something that is detrimental to you but beneficial to them, they do it. It's
Yeah, like digital downloads. That's the future. Not game key cards. It's digital downloads. It has been, it will be. It is what it is.
so prevalent. Anytime they can get away with something and they see that they can, they continue to do it. And so I'm hoping that they look at this failure and blame it on key cards.
They're not going to do that. I wish they would too, but they won't, because it's not. I mean, like, objectively, it has almost nothing to do with the key cards.
Blame it on code in a box, and they reevaluate how they launch third-party games on the Switch 2 in the future. Because I want, at some point in the future, when the Switch 2 is no longer selling $80 games or all the other BS attached to it, I want the Switch 2 to be a success later, like the 3DS was. And when that happens, I don't want third-party games to just keep being key cards. Because then if I do get a Switch 2 later on, if they have actually gotten rid of that BS and added an OLED screen and improved the battery life, there's a couple of things I'm waiting for. I don't want to buy any third-party games for it because they're going to just be key cards. So I'm really hoping this continues to fail. Not because I want the Switch 2 to fail, not because I want Nintendo to fail, because I want this idea specifically to fail.
And again, me too. Like I said at the beginning of the video, love physical media, right? Big fan. I can't pan the camera, but I have a whole shelf here of games. I also want the physical keycard thing to fail, right? 100%. I'm on board with that, right? And hopefully what Nintendo will do over time is they will start to allow these publishers and developers to sell their games on smaller cards so that way it's more affordable, right? They should offer a 4GB, 8GB, 32GB, whatever game cards, so that way these third-party developers have a more cost-effective route that they can go that isn't the game key card or code in the box, right? That's what I hope happens, and I think that's what it will take to get these developers on board to actually selling physical games again. And look, again, do I want Nintendo to be humbled about this? Humbled, whatever that means? Sure, I guess so. But like, it just feels weird to narrow in on the key cards thing when like digital downloads are like 1,000,000,000% more the problem, and they've been around for over a decade, right? Like that is the thing that's killing physical media. Like the physical key cards are just like, it's just this little microscopic like piece of dust in the wind when it comes to the death of physical media. And yes, I would like to see it fail. I would like to see the game be on the card. 100%, we agree with that. But I think this sort of game key card thing is being used as a vehicle to hate the Switch 2 and to hate Nintendo. And it's just like, oh dude, if they didn't do that, they would have just put the code in the box, right? You understand? Like the developers aren't going to lose money on it. They're just going to do the cheapest thing. And in this case, they went with the game key cards because it was this middle ground. And I'm going to be honest, you guys, and this is like the truth. This is the real tea. Okay. If they didn't print it on the box that the game wasn't on the card, no one would be talking about this. It would be like Digital Foundry would have been like, oh, we found out that the game's not actually on the card, and there'd be like this group of like a small amount of nerds, myself included, being like, wow, that's bullshit, right? But the consumer, the everyday Redditor, the everyday Twitter user, they'd have no idea. This wouldn't even be on their radar. It wouldn't even matter. It wouldn't affect their purchase decision. And truthfully, it's already kind of not. The real thing affecting their purchase decision is that they played Hogwarts Legacy 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just hate this narrative that like Nintendo should be punished for doing this. It's like it's basically irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, but like, sure, go off.
So this isn't, I know you're sick of me hating on the Switch 2. This is not me hating on the Switch 2 necessarily. This is me hating on that specific idea that came along with the Switch 2. Man, I don't think people understand how much I wanted the Switch 2 to be amazing, how excited I am for systems when they first come out, because I love riding that wave of hype. I love it. I mean, that's why I got a Switch at launch. You know, which also had a terrible launch, by the way. There was absolutely nothing for that system when it first came out. I mean, my God, it's Breath of the Wild, and like I desperately bought, like, what was it, Cave Story? And I bought some other really crappy game that was published by GameStop. I was just so desperate to get games for it because the launch just was Breath of the Wild, and that was it. I mean, so many bad launches for systems. You think with all of this time...
And that's the other thing that like blows my mind. People are like, oh my god, the launch title lineup was horrible. It's like, buddy, it's almost always horrible. What did we have for the PS5? Oh, wait a minute, we still don't have great games for the PS5. Like we have what, Demon Souls, oh, that's a remake, Astrobot, Final Fantasy Rebirth or whatever. Yeah, I mean the PS5 exclusive lineup is trash. It is horrible. It's like a 5-year-old console. It's abysmal, right? And like he said, the Switch 1 launch was abysmal. Now Breath of the Wild, fantastic game, one of the best games of all time, surely, right? But the variety was trash. The variety was trash. Let's be real, okay? People just didn't realize it because they put a bunch of time into Legend of Zelda, but like people are going to spend just as much of time on Mario Kart World. Like I've already put over 20 hours into Mario Kart World, right? So again, this narrative that like, oh, the Switch 2 launch lineup's garbage. It's like, yeah, because it always is. It's literally always is.
They have before the system coming out that all these other companies would be prepping them. I guess the Switch makes sense where the third-party support was so bad. The Wii U was a massive failure before that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just kind of rambling at this point. Like the video if you guys liked it, subscribe for more content, and comment down below how you feel about key cards, code in a box, things like that. And if you plan on buying any of those in the future, I'd love to hear from you guys.
Great video. This was a YouTuber who goes by the name of FANTAVISION. I think this is the first time that I've ever watched one of their pieces of content, unless I missed something a long time ago. But yeah, I think his heart's in the right place, and I think he and I agree on like the general premise of like physical media. Like again, I probably will not buy any physical key cards, right? Like I just don't have a purpose for it. If I need the game immediately, I'm gonna digitally download it. If I want the physical copy, I'm gonna just buy the physical game if it is a physical game, right? Otherwise, what's the point? There's no point. It's kind of stupid, right? But I just wanted to throw in my 2 cents there. I feel like this whole thing is just way overblown. Like we have to, as gamers, as like hardcore people who like, we're chronically on, let's be real, we're chronically online, and we are emotionally invested in Nintendo and other video game consoles and the gaming industry as a whole, right? Let's just all admit that, okay? You know it, I know it, everyone knows it. Okay, so we are the minority of people playing video games. Let's be honest, okay? Most people buying the Switch 2 have a wife and kids, or they, you know, have a, you know, a full-time job, and they don't know about any of this. They don't care about any of this stuff. And we have to remind ourselves that the average everyday person, the average Walmart shopper, right, does not know about game key cards. They do not care. It is not a big deal, right? And so I just want to throw my 2 cents out there. I also hope that this fails. I also love physical media, but like to use this as a scapegoat, as like another bullet point to hate Nintendo, it's like, dude, you're making stuff up now. Like if it wasn't this, it would have been digital downloads. And let's be honest, how many games do you have on Steam? Those are all digital, by the way. So, you know, don't throw stones, as they say. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and check out this dude's channel.